virtue is when you make the choice.
Tim, would you say that there's some element of virtue that's sort of internal to us, that's
Absolutely.
native to us and born to us? I mean, I think
Absolutely.
I can't remember the exact wording, but I know that the opening of Chaucer's prologue to the Canterbury Tales has a line in it about virtue, the virtue of the plant engendered from the roots. I can't remember exactly how that goes, but there's some sense that, the virtue in the plant in springtime is, something that comes proceeded directly up from the roots of the plant, from its inner being.
There too.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I right about that? Is that what that's saying?
Who's there too? Engendered. Engendered is the fleur, the flower.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Whose virtue is engendered the flower?
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Thank you, Chris.
I discern between recognized virtue by, it's not like you got a big can of courage on your back and you're going to face a situation and you're drawing on something you have. You're bringing it forth out of nothing. You have nothing and you're bringing it forth out of nothing. And when we're doing that, we're being most like the Creator who brought something out of nothing. So virtues by their nature are parts of life we bring forth in our own lives out of nothing, making what never could have been if it wouldn't have been for us. To choose to create courage when there was no courage there before, by our choosing. Bring it out of nothing.
It comes from the inner part of us. Again, labels get in the way so often.
Maybe there are different kinds of courage too.
Yep.
I just thought of a Mary Oliver line. She says, each body is a lion of courage.
Yep.
Each body is a lion of courage. Everyone.
John?
Point out that, that so eloquently was pointed out by the virtue of wisdom, that poem, just because the author can write about virtues doesn't mean they possess them.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. I wrote this in this way. Virtue does not reside in the intellect. The intellect, like the senses, may inform the decision maker in a person. Yet the human being who makes a choice may not be especially intelligent. We all know virtuous people who do not have keen minds. We also know very intelligent folks who have no interest in virtue. We know that. There's that classic Down syndrome adult who does the most compassionate thing for his neighbor. And we recognize that virtue when they perform the act.
Tim, I'm really balked when we're talking about choice and virtues, and I've seen it more as like a gift that comes from somewhere else that you don't have, but that you're blessed with. And often when somebody does something very heroic and they interview them on the news, and they just say, well, I just responded, I just did what I do. It wasn't like this choice I made where I know I could be consumed by this fire as well, but I'm going to run in there. It's like by virtue of them being a man, or being by virtue of it's something that's given to you rather than what you chose, and that's why it's confusing with courage, because I think choice is involved with that.
And I would say that that man made the choice. He didn't think, in the face of all the terror, he did make a choice. He could have stayed frozen. And I also agree it is also a gift that came from the unconscious or from the deep part. And that man who ran into the fire to rescue probably has been practicing courage all his life. So same way, it's a practice. You train yourself. You just have a little bit as a child, or maybe you have a lot, but you access that. The intellect steps aside. And when I say there's a choice, I'm not saying it's an intellectual choice. I'm saying it's a soul choice. I should have made that clearer. Yeah. Marty?
And I wonder if virtue isn't soul stuff, you know, and that this process, maybe what you're describing as poetry, is mining for that stuff, and you know, and cutting through that distance and that separation. And
Yep.
maybe you are born with it. Maybe you're just being true to yourself when ka-ching, you're courageous at a given moment.
Sure.
Could I
Yeah,
just
oh, sure.
respond something to that? I think that what's scary is the possibility that you will not respond to the call or the challenge of your inner nature and inner virtue, and you have that choice too. And if you do that, that's the way of psychic death.
Yeah.
I think that the environment potentiates the opportunity for something to come from within, and that it is about a relationship between particular environments, sort of an archetypal field. You go into that field and suddenly it draws forth something that you didn't know was inside you.
Like this conference. This conference draws things out of people,
Sure.
virtues out of people
Yeah.
that didn't know that were there.
Yeah.
Right.
And the decision maker in your soul has a choice whether to come or not to come.